Hi there, Scorpio. This is Carrie at Wooing Nature. Welcome to January and your January 2021 reading. I'm going to do things a little different for January 2021 because not only is this going to be your reading for January, but it's also going to be your reading for the whole year. So I'm looking at 2021 in its totality. I want to get a clear message from the I-Ching about the overarching theme for 2021 for you, Scorpio. And then I'm going to go month by month. We're going to use a combination of cards. One is going to be the Spirit of the Wheel cards. I'll be using these to look at under which moon each message is coming. So we'll look at January all the way through December. And then I'll also be using the sun and moon for that too, because there's a lot of moon energy that's been trying to speak through and come through for the cipher. So we'll start off with the I Ching. I am using the I Ching cards for the sake of time. For those of you who like I Ching and get down with I-Ching, you can also do the coin method and the yarrow method. We do all three, but like I say, we'll be using Klaus Holitzka's deck, and so there's a particular system for reading the I-Ching with that. So we'll pull two cards. The first card represents Scorpio overarching theme for 2021. And then the second card is going to be the changing line. So then we'll read the changing lines from there. So we got your first card, and then this one that represents the changing lines. All right. So the card that corresponds to the passage that relates to what's going on with you for the whole year, Scorpio, is passage number 62. So for those of you who are numerologically inclined, you can look at the number science on that and add that information to your reading or apply that to your reading. But we're going to look at passage number 62. Also, for those of you who have your own translations of the text and you want to go and look at what passage number 62 is in the I Ching text that you read or that you ascribe to, then you can also do that. So that energy just translates in the way that it needs to. But I'm going to be reading from the Holitzka translation. So if it's not exact, don't shoot the messenger. Predominance of the small is the message. It says this sign brings to mind the fact that the small and apparently unimportant things are often decisive. Very good information there. And I know in the word it says that, God takes the base things of the world to confound the wise, the small things, right, of the world, the things that are not, to bring to naught that which is. So don't sweat the small stuff, but don't forget about the small stuff too. The drop that brings the cup to overflow is a tiny one, but one generating a tremendous effect. So sharpen your eye for detail. You will then understand better the superordinate context as well, the bigger picture. It is not enough merely to bear in mind the great and significant things. Incidentally, your chances of achieving a great success are minimal at present, so quite consciously pay attention to the finer details. For instance, look closely at everything to do with relationships which you consider to be self-evident. Nor is there any reason to hide your light under a bushel. Dignity lies in the simplicity of the noble, says a Chinese proverb. So dignity lies in the simplicity of the noble. So the small things can be the most significant things. So don't discount the small details. Don't discount the little things. Don't say, oh, I'll get to this later. Don't assume that those people who are in lower positions or who are not in positions of power cannot then gain power. So you can't go by what your former perceptions are about that which is significant and that which is insignificant, because this year, 2021, is going to have you focusing even further on some of those tiny details that mean a whole lot in in the transition, in the changes that you want to make overall in your life. I think that this is an interesting representation because we have something very small here looking like a tightrope. You know, it's a very thin wire. It requires balance. It requires the right balance and knowing your center of gravity so that you can create the balance that's needed. So I don't want to walk away from that card without pointing that out. All right, so now we're going to look at the changing lines. And this card here, which doesn't really mean a whole lot to you, it just means that we're going to look at the lines in that card to see which one's changed. And then we're going to read that information from the text. So it looks like line 1 is a changing line, as is 2. Also 6. So 1, 2, and 6 are the messages that we're going to read. Now with these, some of these might resonate with some of you. One of them might resonate more than the other. Just, you know, kind of get in where you fit in. Number 1 says, you may have to resort to unusual measures if tried and trusted methods have changed. It might be necessary to bow down to realities. That means accept the realities. Otherwise, you exhaust your energies and achieve nothing. Okay? So you might have to resort to unusual measures. You might have to accept reality. And the reason for that is because you're going to be working against yourself trying to get something done when the reality is that's not how it's going to happen. So you got to be able to release to the part that you don't know. All right, so part number 2, try to make determined use of every opportunity without creating a fuss. It is entirely unimportant which rank someone occupies. See, this goes back to not about the predominance of the small. Remember I said just because somebody isn't in a certain position doesn't mean that they're not in a position of power. Just because they don't hold the title doesn't mean they're not in a position of power, because they very well could be. Things are different now. You know, you got the young people talking about the 5D. We talked about the ascension. The times have changed. We're edging into the millennium. And the further we go into this millennium, the more it's not going to look like the last millennium. So all of those last millennium things that were going on, some of that stuff is not going to be happening in the new millennium. You might as well let it go. So if it's something that you have been doing, and especially if you're talking about rank and position and this is my title and all of that other kind of stuff, that stuff is not going to ride very much further into the millennium. I'm just letting you know that. All right. And then number 6, passage number 6, this is the last one. You certainly are aiming high. Be careful not to plummet into the depths. So the higher the climb, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. Okay. I feel like this is more energetic though. Like you're trying to reach a certain, like you're really, really striving to get to a certain position, but you have to understand that being able to, from an ascension standpoint, in order for you to make great heights, you have to also plummet great depths. And if you're not able to go deep, then going higher may elude you. Again, we're in a different paradigm. We have shifted. The shift has happened. And so for those who are aware of it, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about, because you're going to have to do these kinds of perception changes in order for you to understand how you're going to manifest the things that you're trying to manifest, because it's not going to be the way that it was in the last old energy. It's not going to be that way. That's not how you're going to be able to manifest. You're not going to be able to manifest in the same way as you did before. You're going to have to take a different approach. Plain and unambitious work on details would do you a world of good in the moment. Plain, unambitious work on details. So it sounds like to me, Scorpio, you're doing a little grunt work. You might be feeling like you're doing a little grunt work. You're also doing some patience lessons, is what I'm getting here too. You are focusing on the details, because the details are where some of probably your best lessons are going to be learned in 2021. And so Getting your mindset out of this, getting yourself out of the mindset that there is something that is greater than and something that is less than, you got to do that, because otherwise you're going to be confused. You're going to get confused. So you got to take your mind out of that thinking process, because that thinking process is old energy. That's some old energy stuff. Former rules do not apply. Scorpio, former rules do not apply. At least not all of them. Some of them will. Some of them will. It's not going to be, there's no such thing as an on-off switch in nature, right? Things transition. There's a transition period. There's a period of preparation before transition. Then there's the moment of transition. A lot of times the moment of transition escapes you because it's so quick and so ethereal that you look up and it's already done. You're like, oh, is that what that was? And it's like, yep, we already got you squared away. We did it in your sleep. We transitioned you in your sleep. We just knew we weren't going to be able to do it while you were awake because you were so damn busy and you wouldn't stop. Okay? So we just went on ahead and nabbed you in your sleep and switched you off and switched you back on. And hopefully, it wasn't too much of a nightmare. All right, Scorpio, I'm messing with you. All right, so we're moving on to the rest of 2021. Again, I'm going to be looking at your moons, all of your moons, from the January moon all the way to the December moon. Looking at the seasons of 2021 and the phases of 2021 so that you can see where Scorpio is at those moments, or things to think about, or things to focus upon for that month. Starting with January, going all the way through December 2021. And this is for all of my Scorpio people out there. All right, so we're starting off the year in the rest and cleansing moon. Of course, that's the time when you should be doing what? Resting and cleansing, right? This is the Nine of Wands here in this position. That means taking things off of your plate, organizing all of the tasks that you have at hand. That's what you should be doing in January, okay? I know that everybody wants to do these New Year's resolutions and they want to do them before the new year comes in. But for some of you, that's not going to be your pattern. That's not going to be your, that's not your pattern, okay? Okay, the spirits really want me to tell you all this, but you're the first person that I'm telling. So Scorpio, you're special, but I will be telling everybody else this as well. That whole idea of a New Year's resolution and thinking about, that's fine as a practice, but in general, the way that you need to move as an individual or as a sign or as an element may be very different than that. In other words, your planning might not be happening in December going into January. Your planning might not be happening until later. And it looks like your planning is going to be happening later, because first you've got to get organized, and they want you to do that during the rest and cleansing moon. That is the time period between January 20th all the way up to February. So mid-January into February is when they want you to do the organization and start to take some things off your plate. Okay, so in the big winds moon, which starts mid-February into March, remember big winds moon is when the March winds come in. Okay, so when the March winds come in, you want to be focusing your attention on your own inner power, how you're going to use your inner power. You need to start thinking about that. Okay, because that's not something, Scorpio, that if you've given it some consideration before, it was probably considerations that you were making inside of a 3D mindset or inside of a old energy mindset. So when the new year comes in, and after you do this organization in January and in February, and starting to, like say, okay, this is what I'm going to focus on now, then you're going to access which elements or which energies that you're going to be working with, because you're going to need to know how to do that. Right now, you don't quite have the energy to do it because you got to organize first. You've got to organize first. You got to take some things off your plate first. You know what I'm saying? You got to learn how to concentrate the energy. Focus the energy. Right now, it's like the energy's all over the place. You got to pull it in. And that's what they want you to do in February, March, when them big winds come. Because see, when the big winds come, what comes with it is change. When the big winds come, they come with change. They come with change. You know, and so you have to be prepared for the changes that are going to take place. Okay. So in the budding trees moon, this is March going into April here. We have the Prince of Cups. That looks like for some of you, there may be some form of companionship. I think maybe for some of you that may be a goal for your for the year is to invite more romance into your life, more romantic experiences in your life. This does not necessarily have to be with another person. It could also just be bringing the romance into your life, right? Because for some of you, you've been really struggling with relationships and you want something from the relationship. You want the romance, you want the flowers, and you want the cards, and you want the special gifts, and you want the heartfelt moments. But I'm feeling like for some of you, it may not have involve another person at all, that this may actually be you bringing romance back into your life and you're doing it for yourself. It's an aspect of loving yourself. I think that may also be related to self-care for some of you, this Prince of Cups energy coming in. It is the time when the trees are budding and things are enlivening themselves. So this would, I think for a lot of you, this is a self-care moment. So in March, going into April, then you'll want to be doing some self-care for yourself. It's like bringing the romance to you. You're your romantic partner. It could get very exciting. Hey, you know, why knock it, right? Enjoy yourself. That's what you're there for. All right, so let's go to the Frog's Return Moon before I go down a road and a path here. All right, Frog's Return Moon, we're talking about April, May. You're going to garner some strength from this. So this is a good indication of what's happening. So the first quarter of the new year, January, February, March, this is about organizing yourself, picking and choosing your battles, picking and choosing what you're going to focus on, what responsibilities you're going to take on, what obligations you're going to take on, and which ones you're not. That's the organization part. So that you can garner the energy that you need, so that you'll know the power that you're working with within yourself. Because right now you don't know, because you're all over the place. It feels like I don't know what to do. But really what it is that you have a lot of energy that you're working with, but you just have to know how to channel it. And so you're going to give yourself some self-care in March. You're going to treat yourself to all the special things that a romantic partner would treat you to, whether it's a massage or whether it's a night out or whatever. You're going to give yourself that opportunity to love yourself. And then after that is when you start to feel more strength. Now, you might feel alone for some of you. You may feel like, well, I don't really know why I'm here and what I've got to do here. That may be the feeling of April going into May. You may feel that way for a little while, but what you're doing is garnering your strength. And then I want you to also pay attention to the moons that are happening between April, like mid-April, late April into May. So whatever full and new moons are happening there, you'll want to connect to those if you're into that for strength building. All right, and then as we move into May, June, this is a time for balancing your energy, balancing your emotions, balancing yourself. You want to take a look during this time at any burdens that you're carrying, that you're still carrying. I feel like this is what this time period at the beginning of the year is about. Really, but I think what happens sometimes is we might have figured out in January, this is what I need to do and this is what I need to let go of. But over time, as life progresses, we kind of forget what we were supposed to be letting go of and not letting go of. So I think that this time right here is expressly for you to be able to assess whether or not you're carrying burdens that don't belong to you, or to release anything that may feel oppressive to you at that time. So take that time for that. And now we're moving into June. Moving deeply into June. There's a call for balance, rebalancing the self. So there's some strength building happening in the second quarter, and the strength building involves you connecting to the moon so that you will know what it is that you're trying to build on. It's also about you addressing anything that's causing you oppression in your life, anything that seems like a burden, and then bringing your life back into a different state of balance when it comes to like June into July, so around the middle part of the year. Okay. Interesting. Still some work to be done. There's still plenty of work to be done here. I think people's anxiousness about getting out of 2022, I mean 2020, is really making us want to be hopeful. And I think that you should definitely be hopeful. There's no doubt about that. I don't think anybody should give up hope on that. But I do feel like being realistic is the better approach. Be realistic about what's happening to you right now. Don't worry so much about the numbers for a moment. Don't worry so much about, okay, at the stroke of midnight on December 31st, 2020, it's going to be a world of difference. No, you got to face the reality of where you are. All right, so there's some change coming. This is July. In July, there are some changes that are going to be coming. These changes have to do with some life lessons. There's some life lessons. There is some additional strength and courage that you need to garner at that time. I also feel like your spirits are going to be speaking with you, particularly the animal spirits at that, very much the animal spirits. I'm seeing changes in both of these cards here around the wheel. So there is a major transition that's going to be happening for you between July 23rd and August 22nd, sometime between that time period. July into August is when the changes are going to come. So pay close attention to your animal spirits during that time, because they're going to be telling you or sending you messages as to what you're supposed to be doing and whatnot. Okay. All right. And then at the harvest is when you are dealing with your Empress energy. Now, for whatever reasons, we got this Empress energy coming in reverse. That's a curious thing for me, because this is at a harvest time. It's a time for preparation and gathering. So you don't want to be out of synchronicity with that time period. You don't want to be out of synchronicity with that time period, because this is the time when the abundance is coming through. It's the harvest moon. It's the harvest time. So you want to be fully aware of that. I'm getting that you'll need to be paying attention to your dreams. If you're paying attention to your dreams, you will know how to access this cornucopia, the blessings that are coming towards you. But I think this also goes back to what the I-Ching was saying about the details, right? You don't want to, when it comes to the harvest season and reaping your abundance, you don't want to miss your abundance because you're looking for a certain thing. I feel like this is that's the admonition here, is that the abundance is going to be there, but will you know it when you see it? You have to make sure that you've done that work ahead of time. You have to make sure you've done the work ahead of time. And the time period for this is between August and September. August into September is that time period. I feel like the abundance is going to come. The question is whether or not you're going to know that that's what it is. You got to expand your view of wealth. And you also have to expand your view of abundance, because it's really based on who you are and not based on what you have. Abundance is based on who you are, not what you have, in the new paradigm. So we got the sun and the ducks fly moon, sun coming in reverse. A lot of reversals for you, Scorpio. And I don't feel that it's saying that you're not going to be happy while it's in reverse. I'm seeing that there is a certain synchronicity, a certain level of balance, a certain understanding of wealth that you have to be clear about, so that when that time comes, you'll know what you're looking for. Third quarter is the big one for you. This is the kind of the test to see if you're paying attention. This is August, September, October. Is that right? 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9. So September, August, July, August, September. That's the time period. It's going to be a test of what you learned, of how well you've been doing your work, Scorpio. It's a change in mindset. You know, if there is a change in mindset, and it's not just for you, Scorpio, it's for a lot of people, but I feel like you're getting it firsthand. All right, we got the moon again coming up around the time of the freeze up moon. That's latter part of October leading into December. You're talking about October. October is a time for you to learn some things about yourself, to open up to your feelings, your emotions, understanding your emotions. Again, it's another time to connect to the moon if you feel like you need to around that time. Again, we're talking about October, November. So pay attention to your moons in October, November, and also in April, May. Those are your big moon times. I feel like some answers are going to be revealed to you during this freeze up moon, because you're going to be going in anyway. All right, so long snow's moon. This is November into December. We're looking at some financial things that are going to probably need your attention. My guess is that they are perceptions of wealth that you might be addressing at that time. Again, you will have just processed through this issue or this situation that is going to awaken you to the wealth and abundance that is around you. That happens, of course, in August, but then coming back in November, it looks like you're reassessing, you're looking at that same information again. So to me, it's always it's an ebb and flow in life and in spirit. It's like they're going to give you a lesson, and then you're going to have to come back and see if you really have mastered that lesson. There may be some small issue around money in November that will cause you to worry or cause you to be concerned and say, oh, well, maybe I'm not attached to my abundance like I thought I was. That's when you need to really hunker down and make sure that you have received the lesson in full, in total, right? So that at the end of the year, when the boogeyman comes to try to snatch your dollar bills or to do something or to get you wound up or whatever, you don't have to worry about that. This is the Earth renewal moon. This is the December time. This is inner teaching, inner knowledge. This is going to be the time when you're going to be dealing with some of your fears or some of the ways that your thinking or your perception or the way that life is organized around you tends to hem you up or hang you up. You're going to be addressing that toward the end of the year. So a powerful year for you. I can say that. Lots of very strong lessons in this year for you. You've got the magician lesson. You've got the temperance lesson. You got the strength lesson. You got the empress lesson. You've got the moon going into your subconscious, digging out some of those old subconscious wounds, dealing with the things that you are fearing with the devil here. So there's a lot of really powerful lesson. And then also finding your own joy is here. We've got the sun here with the duck's fly moon coming in, getting you balanced and in synchronicity. So it's also about finding your joy. I'm seeing a lot of strong cards, major arcana cards in here for you this year, which means to me that almost every other month there's going to be some significant lesson or some significant message that's going to come to you about the way that you are seeing and perceiving and then therefore conducting your life. And so they want you to change those perceptions and deal with those perceptions and dig deep into them as well. All right. All right, Scorpio, that is your message for January and for all of 2021. I hope that these messages resonate with you, that they will help you to heal, that they will help you to understand yourself more clearly, that they will bring you some level of clarity about how it is that you need to move at this time of life. That it will also give you some resonance of peace about yourself, knowing what realities you have to face and the things that you have to accept and what it is that you are designed to do. As always, you can check out Wooing Nature on wooingnature.life. That's the website. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Wooing Nature. If you would like to donate to the channel, you can do that through Cashapp. Also, cash tag is Wooing Nature there. And if you want to take the deeper dive, which is going to give you more of a sense of what's happening in your inner life and what you need to do to kind of get unstuck and get moving in your life, I can do that for you too. Reach out to me. I'm at Kerri, Kerri, at wooingnature.life. As always, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great January, and I hope you're having a wonderful life.